Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the new podcast for the love of Bloomington. I'm Monica Bullington, your favorite realtor, and I want to tell you a little bit about the show and what we got going today. It's our first one, so we're going to try out a couple things and see what everyone likes. So this is a Facebook Live audio. You can scroll through this. I think it works better on a desktop from what I've figured out, but it's newer to Facebook, so hopefully they'll improve it throughout, but this will be syndicated to other sites as well, but hopefully you can take a listen while you're at work or whatever you're doing and still enjoy everything that's going on with Facebook. So here's what's going on with the show. I have, well, some of you probably already know what happened last night. We had some frozen pipes in the house, so I'll tell you how that all went down. If I sound a little off, it's because I got a few hours of sleep last night, which is not ideal when you are about to start a new project, but you know, you do what you have to do. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the market, what's going on around Bloomington-Normal, both housing-wise and just social activities and stuff like that. I've got new listings that I will share with you that are coming up on the market. One of the benefits of RE/MAX Rising is that we like to pre-market our homes. So this is just one more avenue that helps us get the word out about our clients' houses that are coming for sale. And tell you what else people are needing at the office to see if you have a property that matches up. And I promise I will tell you the pipe story, but it's probably a long one, so I'll save that for the end. So here is kind of the idea behind the show. It's a little bit of real estate. Real estate's a lot of my life, but maybe not a lot of everybody else's. So I hope that I'll educate you a little bit on, what's going on in your community, either through the housing market or events and news that is, happening around you, but also hopefully provide some entertainment, maybe at my expense. Apparently Tristan's my husband. If you haven't heard of him yet, he will make an appearance, I'm sure, on many of these stories. We happen to have a lot of crazy things happen to us, so I will share those with you throughout the show. And we're going to do live on Wednesdays, and then if you can't listen live, you can syndicate it through YouTube and other avenues, which I will share. You are probably already following Monica Bullington Realtor on Facebook, so just keep doing that, and you'll get notifications about what's coming up, and I'll post some pictures and stuff as well to the link, so you can follow along. So, what's going on in Bloomington-Normal? It's freezing cold, and the housing market reflects that. So at the end of the year, we always see, obviously, a huge drop. You have contracts when you list a house. So a lot of people like to make those contracts, through the end of the year. And we always say your house is worth a range, right? So people their homes are worth less, I would say, the closest you are to this time of year. The closest you get to Christmas, the fewer people are going to be out there. They're just busy with their lives. So when you're looking at a range of houses, if you're going to take your house off the market, this would be a good time to do it, right? Because you have the holidays and you're entertaining. You don't necessarily want to stop at a moment's notice to show a house, or the weather is like it is today and you spend your whole life maybe thawing frozen pipes. And I will say, our house is nearly 100 years old. So I'm giving it some credit because Tristan said, he was looking on the internet today, that the record low for January 2nd was yesterday, and that was -14. So I feel a little bit better that my house isn't, a wuss house, I guess you would say, that it actually was really cold and that wind chill was terrible. So, old houses still have a lot great things going for them. This was our first winter in the house, by the way, so we were still trying to figure things out. But anyway, So this is a great time of year to take your house off the market, right? Because no one really wants to go shopping for a house right now. You want to be sitting on your couch watching Netflix, maybe The Crown, as I have been doing, or American Horror Story, maybe, as I have also been doing. So that's just the kind of idea is if you're going to take it off, you have to be off the market for 60 days if you want your days on market to start over. So let's say you've been on the market for a couple months and you haven't sold. Taking it off for any consecutive 60-day period will start your days on market over, which is nice when you want to, start fresh in the spring and all that. So we had, I think, about 150 houses come off the market in our MLS in the last 4 days, and we've only seen 21 new listings. So you can imagine our inventory is at an all-time low. So what that means, depending on what range, price range your house is in, you might actually be okay putting your house on the market right now. You might also want to wait. So right now we have, and this is for Bloomington-Normal only, we don't really consider, the smaller towns, they behave a little differently. There's a lot to take into consideration when you're thinking about when to put a house on the market. A lot of it is weather, and a lot of it is how many other houses like yours are out there. So in Bloomington-Normal, there's 558 active listings. That's incredibly low. It may seem like a lot if you're looking in the 1 to 150 price range, and you're like, oh, there's 114 houses to choose from. Yeah, in the spring, that's going to be way higher. But that being said, for a seller, the 150 really up to 200 is not a bad range to sell in. It's not the strongest we'll see all year, obviously, but it's still actually considered a seller's market. And you'll ask me how I know this. And we look at the absorption rate of houses. So just how many are selling versus how many are currently in inventory. And about a 6-month supply of houses would be a balanced market. Below that, you get to a stronger seller's market. Higher than that, you get a better buyer's market because you have more to choose from as a buyer. So in that 1 to 200 range, you've got a decent selection of inventory, but you're still looking pretty good as a seller. Now you get to that 0 to 100 range and that 2 to 250 range, and it balances out a little bit. So there's no real advantage to either side. Then you get up to really 250 and up, and it slows down. In the 250 to 300 range, we've sold 3 houses in the last 30 days. So it is not a very strong seller's market if you've got a house like that. Now, this stuff will turn. This is this week, and this is this terrible weather. So if you have a house like that, let's wait to put it on and see how the market changes before we get it out there. There's no need to rush out there unless, you're moving tomorrow to wherever and you need to get this house sold. That motivation is pretty low right now. So I would, advise you to wait a little bit to put that house on the market. And so we'll see that change every week. So we'll kind of watch that and I'll explain the differences there. So Bloomington-Normal, what is going on if people are not buying houses? Honestly, I couldn't find very much. I don't plan on doing very much this weekend, and I haven't done very much for the last week. But I did see that there's a meteor shower tonight that's going to peak. Looks like it's going to peak a couple hours in the morning. It's shorter than most meteor showers are. And to find it, you'd have to go outside, which I don't think people are going to do. But you could, I guess. They also said the full moon might make it even harder to see it. So let's just wait for the internet to give us pictures of or video of the meteor shower, and we'll just do that and watch it from inside because I don't see anyone going outside to see that unless you have a really good view from a window. They said to look below the Big Dipper. Yep, I'm not probably going to do that. So what else is coming on? New listings. So every week we talk about new listings that are coming on at Remax Rising. Again, we call that a rising advantage. So I've got a couple coming up here that I'm going to get the word out about. I've got a condo that's coming up on Hunt Drive, which is back behind that Kroger on College, so it's a really convenient location. It is a condo, which are a little bit different than when you're buying just a normal house, so do consider that. They've done some updates to it, and it's going to be ready here in the next week or so. So it's kind of like a cool townhouse style, and this one's tucked away, and it backs up to the Kroger lot, which you might not think is a great thing, but a lot of these out there actually face each other, so you don't really have any privacy. So you have some nice privacy on this one, and that's going to be listed, I think, at about 100,000, something pretty close to that, which I'm pretty sure is lower than anything else that's out there right now. So give me a call if you want to hear about that or see it before it hits the market. Otherwise, I've got a tri-level out on Gregory Street. Now, Gregory is the one that goes west towards Parkside. It is so close to Parkside. All the schools your kids would attend would be right there within walking distance from the house. So in a tri-level, obviously, it has the 3 levels, which is awesome. So you have some like separation, some good living space there. And we're going to be listed at $149,900. You're getting 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, and that location is awesome, especially if you happen to work at ISU or like to golf in that golf course maybe, or go to the dog park over there. Katie, I'm looking at you. Maxwell Dog Park is right over there. So there's lots of good things if you are interested in that property. Give me a call. And finally, an updated ranch in Holiday Knolls. That is that little area behind, I guess Pizza Ranch is the best way I would describe it. So again, a really good location. It's been updated just a couple years ago. So I think it's a ranch on a slab. So no basement or anything like that, but easy maintenance, all on one level, and just a really good price too. I think we're going to be probably 115-ish. And that's going to be probably go pretty quickly. So also, if you know anyone that has these properties for sale, get them in touch with me. I have a client who's looking for a 4-unit rental. It has to be 4 or less, but he wants 4. It cannot be more than 4. Newer, low maintenance, 4-unit rental here in town, up to $425,000. So if you know anyone that's got a property like that, give them my information. My phone number is 309-706-5927. And I've got friends looking for a restaurant. They don't need a lot of space, a couple hundred square feet, really, with good walkability and visibility. And they don't need too much. So give me a call if you know anyone with information like that is not currently on the market, because we have checked out everything else. Okay, so let me tell you what happened with our pipes. So we bought this house close in October, and so this is our first winter here. And the reason we love the house is because it's an old house, but it's been updated like it's newer. It's more open concept than you would typically find in these old houses, right? The kitchen is usually like tucked away and you can't ever, see anyone when you're in the kitchen. So we bought this because it's great entertaining and it's open, and there's a little like breakfast bar island or whatever you would call it with a, vegetable sink and all that good stuff. And still tons of kitchen space. So what they added on was half of the kitchen. And then they also did the laundry room that's downstairs. So they actually did do a full addition, which is, I think, kind of uncommon. Usually you just would see a crawl under there, but they decided to add that on and to do that. And I have no idea when that was done. But it looks like it was finished by the guy that owned this house in like somewhere between the 70s and the 90s. I can't quite put a finger on some of the finishings he put in this house. But anyway, so we this all started on Christmas Day. We woke up. That was like the first really cold day. And I think because Christmas Eve it snowed a whole bunch. So I woke up and we did not have any water. And I was like, oh no, this is not good because nowhere's open on Christmas. So we spent most of the day, the heating pad, the space heaters, all that jazz. And we were pretty confident we knew where the pipe was that was having the problems because all of the water was off, right? So all the water off tells me it's the main pipe into the house. So we got that done a couple hours. It wasn't that bad. We're like, okay, so we'll keep an eye on it and keep it, warm or whatever. Well, and the laundry room is a little colder too, but we kept the back room where the main water shut off is on. We kept that on and it worked pretty well. And we were like, okay, we don't really need to worry about this. Just check on it. We've got our smoke detectors and all that good stuff, checked on it. We didn't let it go when we weren't there. But so we took care of that pretty well. And then I guess it was a couple days ago, we had another frozen pipe. And then we took care of that and it wasn't that bad. And then last night around 6, I went to the grocery store for, an hour and I came back and I started making dinner. We were supposed to have dinner with our friends and I started making dinner and I only had warm water in the kitchen. And I was like, well, that's weird because I have it everywhere else. So this is another clue when you're, trying to figure out what your pipes are doing. If it's not your main one and it's just the one, then obviously you've got to just track down that one, which is, I think, better than obviously your whole house being frozen and not having any water. So we were kind of pleased at first that it was just that one pipe. And then we start trying to find it. Now, the finish is in the addition basement. It's a drop ceiling and it's it's not a paneling, but it's also not really drywall. I'm not sure. A weird plasticky wall material that does not make for easy finding of pipes. And he did put some hatches there, so we found some pipes, and it took hours. We thought we found it, and then we were like, well, that's not even cold. And then we found another one, and it just was like this wild goose hunt of pipes. And I swear the layout made no sense on how this was done. And I'm hoping that there really was a deep down, like someone knew what they were doing, and maybe I'm just not bright enough to see what their idea was, because I don't know what the original house plan was. Whatever. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they're making it very hard. So anyway, we think we narrowed down where the pipe's coming through, and Tristan decides he wants to drill holes in the wall, which of course I freaked out about because it's like, I think it's midnight at this point. So I was really tired and just like, oh my God, drilling holes in the wall, that doesn't seem like a good idea. It ended up being a good idea. But we drilled holes through a cabinet, not even the wall, because he didn't actually finish the wall. He just put a cabinet up instead of a wall in this one spot. So we drilled through this particle board, which I'll put pictures up too. And we look around, we have to use like a flashlight and our phone, thank God for phones, to take pictures of the inside of the wall. And there's no pipe there. So we're a little frustrated at this point. Okay, very frustrated at this point. There might have been some swearing, I'm just saying. So at like 12:30 at this point, I don't know, we start taking apart, I think this came after. I think we started taking apart the shower after the wall. No, maybe we took apart the shower. Either way, very late at night, we took apart a shower in our basement because it had like another drop ceiling or something like that. Try to find the pipes. We found a pipe. It was not the right pipe. Wild goose chase, around and around and around. Honestly, it was such a blur of a night that I don't think we ever found the pipes downstairs. But we figured out, we followed them up through the kitchen, and they went a wonky way through the kitchen that we were not expecting, along the coldest wall in the kitchen. So then we took out everything, including the dishwasher, to then run space heaters back there. So our new concern was, okay, if we get this thawed, have we busted the pipe? So Tristan, being the normal working person in this relationship where, he's a lawyer, he goes to work every day. I'm a realtor. I have a little more flexibility. So I was like, okay, you need to go to sleep and rest, and I will sit here and watch this pipe. I had coffee at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I think, to try to stay awake. And I just sat on the kitchen floor waiting for the sink to drip. And it was so exciting when it started to drip, but it still took, I think I went to bed. I gave up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was like, whatever happens, happens. Like, I can't do this anymore. So I went to sleep. At 6 o'clock, I panically woke up to try to see, like, oh my God, is our house on fire? Like, or are we water gushing everywhere? I couldn't figure it out. So I just was like awake and scared. So I looked through the house. No, nothing. It's still like kind of dripping, but it's not really back on. So we were kind of defeated at that point. And we went back to sleep again. And I heard this, what I thought was a really scary noise, like 9:30 in the morning. And our water was back on in that faucet. So we're a little precautious. We've got space heaters going. We did open up the cabinets. That's how we ended up defrosting everything, was having the cabinets open and the heaters, blowing air back there. But the kitchen was a mess. We were such a disaster. I mean, like, I have never felt less like a human being than I did today. It was a little bit of, it was a little stressful. And what's frustrating, I think, for us is like, we knew what to look for. I mean, I went to my clients' houses to check on their pipes, and, they're fine. And like, yeah, your vacant house is fine. The one I'm living in is a disaster. But so I think we figured out some places we can improve with insulation and different stuff for next year. But also, like I said, if it's really a record low of -14 and God, whatever the wind chill was, I feel a little bit better that it wasn't just our house. And I know that our friends' houses who are similarly aged also had frozen pipes and stuff like that. But I will still not deter people from buying old houses. But I think it's a conversation you need to have and to be prepared for before you have your first winter there. Even though I felt like we were prepared, it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. So I guess there's no real lesson in that. But anyway, so that's the story of how we got no sleep, how our pipes froze, how we cut up part of our house and pulled out our dishwasher and all that stuff and cursed the old owners' names, which I'm sure people do all the time when they buy houses. And they're like, well, what was that person doing? Which is why when you do, when I'm showing houses and I see DIY work, I'm like, oh no, I do not trust whatever this is, because people don't know what they're doing all the time. And I would much rather hire a professional to do it than see someone else do it that doesn't know what they're doing. So anyway, that's that story. Thanks for listening in. Next week, if you have questions, I'm here to answer them. The whole point is, if you need to figure something out about real estate, if you have questions, to have a resource to go to, I'm here to answer questions. I'll update you on the market. Funny stories, like I said, at my expense, most likely. Or my house's expense. And yeah, just telling you what's going on in the Bloomington-Normal housing market. And if you have any suggestions or anything like that, I'm totally open. I am so excited to get this going. And if I can do anything for you, let me know. So this is all for today. I'm Monica Bullington, and this is for the love of Bloomington.